Jim Glickenhaus, you are doing something that really is a throwback. You have come to a world championship as an American with your own car. Tell me how you got to this point where this car is here right now.
Well, it was loving how things are made. When I had a toy, I would take it apart. And when I was very young, I would ride my bike to Mr. Canetti's Ferrari dealership. And eventually he let me come inside, and then I could sit in the car. And then he said, okay, on your bike, go out and get us some parts from the speed shop. And for years, I came over there every weekend, every Saturday, and watched how race cars were made. And I loved race cars. And when I was a film director, after The Exterminator, I made some money, and I took half of that, gave it to my dad to invest in Wall Street, and the other half, of course, I bought a Ferrari, and that kept my love going. But my dream was always to follow in the footsteps of like Briggs Cunningham, Carroll Shelby, Jim Hall, of course, the great Americans who just stood up in world championships against powerhouse factory teams and won. I mean, Jim won here in the Chaparral. And, you know, if you look at the wall at Sebring and you see the races and you see people like Fangio and Maserati and Fraser Nash and Ferrari and Ford, that is the real Sebring race. It's the 1,000 kilometers of Sebring is the world championship. You know, IMSA bought the track, and now they have their 12-hour event, and that's a wonderful thing too. But it's not the world championship, and it's a little sad to me to see them put the winners of the IMSA races rather than the winner of the world champion race.
Well, I know that's a big sticking point for you, and quite honestly, a lot of the fans here in the States is that it seems like hypercar and LMDH convergence is going to happen, but everything I've heard seems to say that they're going to exclude you guys. How do you feel about that, and is there anything that can be done to change that? Because, frankly, an American car should be racing in the American Series, especially the 12 Hours of Sebring, Daytona, all that stuff.
Yeah, we frankly think IMSA's position, which is if we don't manufacture 2,600, 2,700 cars a year, we're not allowed to race in IMSA, is absurd, one. The fans hate it. Why would they exclude us? But frankly, it's illegal. Under antitrust laws, you can't discriminate against people based on size. So, you know, in the proper place, which will be the courts, in the proper time when we want to, we'll address it. I'm not worried about that. But I think it's just very sad that IMSA, we had last year 120 million people follow us on social media. This year we're going to have 200 million people follow us on social media. We are, for the first time in history, which is the 100th anniversary of Le Mans, Pebble Beach is going to feature Le Mans cars, and they're going to have a modern car, one of our cars, in that exhibit. We're going to be at Goodwood Festival of Speed. We race the Baja. We race the Nürburgring. We have millions and millions of fans. We do a YouTube live feed, and it, you know, blows up the net. So for IMSA, for some very bizarre reason, to exclude us or not want us to race is totally absurd and frankly illegal.
Wow, that's some heavy stuff, and you think about it, and I remember the first time I ever heard about you guys, it was about your Nürburgring Nordschleife cars, and I think you eventually got a pole position there. I guess we'll take it a little bit further back into happy territory, because, you know, what was that process like, going to the Nürburgring for the first time and then beginning to have success there?
Look, the Nürburgring is hallowed ground. It's one of the great racetracks in the world. The 250, 300,000 fans who come, who camp for a week, who build bonfires, who are so welcoming. And the difference between IMSA and the Nürburgring couldn't be more clear. I went to them and said, look, I want to show up with a car that's going to be a race version of my Ferrari P45, and I'll make it meet the rules. Will you let me race? And they said, yeah, of course. Now later they told me that every year 6 people come to them and say, I'm going to do something like that, and no one ever showed up. But when I showed up, they welcomed us. We are now a big part of the Nürburgring. We endow a perpetual trophy for the fastest qualifying time. I can't walk 2 feet in the ring without someone offering me a beer or a pretzel, and we love it, and we'll be back there this year racing. And the WEC has been completely welcoming, and the ACO has been completely welcoming, and we are working together to get a fair BOP so that you can see fair racing in the WEC, and they're a great partner. Their media people are great. We promote each other, and I just don't understand why someone would not want us to race. What's not to like about this car? Look, you go on TV, that's WEC TV right behind us, and there we are. It's like, I don't know, it's nuts.
How gratifying is it, though, to finally get this car in front of kind of hometown fans here in Sebring? Again, such a historic venue.
It's really amazing, and it's also wonderful that over in the parking lot we have a road legal version of our GT3 car, our 004S. We've sold over 300 of those cars. We have the road legal version of our Baja race truck. We sold hundreds of those. We're going to be a little company, and also we're working towards the future of zero emissions, and we really believe that cryogenic hydrogen is the best answer for fleets, for aircraft. It obviously is being used in Predator drones, and we think that we can make a full-size pickup truck that doesn't have to lug around 1,800 pounds of batteries, so we'll have more capacity, get 600 miles to the gallon at $1 equivalent of about $1.50 a gallon of gasoline, and who knows how many of those we can sell. We'll probably sell way more than IMSA requires, but I'm not sure that we're that interested in IMSA at the current time.
Jim, final question. You're not interested in IMSA, but you're certainly interested in WEC. What are your chances here at Sebring, and then certainly look into the big prize, Le Mans? How well do you think you'll be able to stack it against the Alpine, potentially the Peugeot, and certainly the Toyota?
Yeah, Peugeot will not be at Le Mans this year. It will be Alpine, Toyota, and us this year. Next year, Ferrari and Peugeot will join, and we really look forward to fighting the Glickenhaus Ferrari wars in 2023. But to answer your question, I think you can see from pre-practice and the fact that we're number 2 on the grid today, that we're competitive. I think the WEC is taking very seriously in the FIA the balance of performance. I think they've made steps in the right direction. I'm sure after this race they'll do some more tweaking. And if we get a fair BOP, we will have a chance to win Le Mans. I'm not saying we will, but we'll have a chance, and that's all we're asking for, is a fair chance.
All right, that's Jim Glickenhaus, and he has a YouTube channel. The link will be in the description. You should definitely check it out. This is such a cool concept, a cool car, and a cool team. Thank you, Jim.